I just went out and purchased a whole bunch of air compressors so you don't have to. So let's get the testing underway and see which air compressor is the best. In the first test, we'll see which air compressors are incredibly quiet. Then we'll see which compressor inflates a tire the fastest. Finally, we'll see which compressor can keep up with a nail gun the best. At a price of only $104, the least expensive air compressor we'll be testing is made by Vaver. They claim 1 horsepower and 2.1 CFM at 90 PSI. It's supposed to deliver up to 120 max PSI. They claim it's ultra quiet at only 81 decibels. They claim the compressor is built with a quality silencer. They claim it has a thick muffler cover, rubber muffler pipe, and a filter cotton. Just about all the compressors I'll be testing have a 2-gallon capacity. And the Vaver has a manual coupler which requires the sleeve to be retracted with one hand while the plug is put into position. For most people, including myself, this is a 2-hand process. And the Vevor is made in China. And the Vevor weighs just over 32 pounds. Before we test the noise level of the Vevor, let's first test the noise level of this older 1-gallon pancake compressor. I'll measure the noise level of the compressors at approximately 24 inches from the sound meter. And the older pancake compressor is very loud at 97.2 decibels. And the Vevor started off at 81.1 decibels, became a little bit louder as the motor and the compressor began to really work. And 82.5 decibels is a lot better than 97.2 from the older pancake compressor. At a price of $120 is this Greteefor brand. It claims to be ultra quiet at only 60 decibels. They claim it has a high-performance 1 horsepower 4-pole motor. It's supposed to have only a 13-second recovery time. We're going to test that. They also claim that this compressor can fill the tank in only 45 seconds. It's supposed to deliver up to 120 PSI with 2.5 CFM at 90 PSI. And the Greteefor is made in China. And it's 35.2 pounds for the Greteefor. And the Greteefor has an automatic coupler, making it very easy to connect the air hose with just one hand. And the Greteefor makes even less noise than the Vaver at only 76.4 decibels. At a price of $130 is this Eastwood brand. Unlike the other compressors, the Eastwood is a pancake compressor. The Eastwood also has a 3-gallon capacity. It has a 1/3 horsepower motor and a max PSI of 100. They claim it delivers 0.6 CFM at 90 PSI. They also claim 2.5 amps and 87 decibels. And the Eastwood is made in China. And Eastwood is very light at just under 18 pounds. And the Eastwood has a manual coupler. And the Eastwood pancake compressor started off pretty noisy at around 85.4 decibels. As the pressure began to build in the tank, the compressor became even noisier at 91 decibels. At a price of $135 is this Fornax brand. And the Fornax claims to be a 2-gallon oil-free silent air compressor. They claim it delivers 2.1 CFM at 90 PSI and up to 125 PSI. The motor is supposed to produce 1.2 horsepower. They claim a maximum noise of only 65 decibels. And the Fornax is the heaviest yet at 40.53 pounds. And the Fornax has an automatic coupler. And the Fornax started off relatively quiet at 74.1 decibels. It did become a little bit noisier as the pressure increased, topping out at 76 decibels. At a price of $142 is this Craftsman brand. It's a portable 2-gallon hot dog air compressor. It has a 1/3 horsepower motor with a max PSI of 125. They claim it only weighs 19 pounds, which is about half as much as some of the other brands. They claim it has a recovery time of 45 seconds. They claim it's well designed for heat dissipation and overload protection mechanism to prolong the service life of the motor. They claim a half CFM at 90 PSI. And the Craftsman is made in China. And the Craftsman is very light at just over 19.5 pounds. And the Craftsman has an automatic coupler. The Craftsman is a very lightweight machine, but it's also very loud, starting off at around 92 decibels. After some pressure buildup, 95.5 decibels for the Craftsman. At a price of $159 is this Husky brand. They claim it's 80% quieter. It's supposed to deliver 2.4 CFM at 90 PSI. They claim the 1 horsepower motor delivers up to 135 PSI. Low maintenance pump and low RPM induction motor. All the previous brands had silencers made of plastic, but this one is made of metal. And the Husky is made in China. And the Husky has an automatic coupler. And the name Husky seems to fit as the Husky weighs just over 43 pounds. And the Husky started off quieter than average at around 74 decibels. And the Husky remained pretty quiet and had a peak noise level of 79.5 decibels. At a price of $160 is this Stealth brand. It has a 3/4 horsepower motor. They claim it's ultra quiet at only 60 decibels. The max PSI is 125. They claim it delivers 1.8 CFM at 90 PSI. And the Stealth is made in China. And the Stealth weighs 41.58 pounds. And the Stealth has an automatic coupler. At 74.2 decibels starting off, the Stealth is performing about the same as the Husky. After some pressure buildup, 78.4 decibels. At a price of $160 is this Limodot brand. They claim it's ultra quiet at only 60 decibels. 2.5 CFM at 90 PSI. They claim a very fast 14-second recovery time. We're going to test that. They claim it has a 1 horsepower high-performance motor. And the muffler is made of plastic and it does stick out by quite a ways, so it seems like it's very prone to becoming damaged. The air hose coupler also sticks out quite a bit. They claim a max PSI of 120. They claim it's lightweight at only 35 pounds. And the Limodot has a manual coupler. And the Limodot is made in China. And it's right at 35 pounds for the Limodot. The Limodot is starting off the best yet at around 69 decibels. And the Limodot moves into the lead at only 74.8 peak decibels. At a price of $179 is this Kobalt brand. They claim it's 80% quieter and 2 times the motor life. It has a 3/4 horse, 4-pole induction motor. 2 oilless pumps are very quiet at under 60 decibels. Integrated control panel with 2 gauges, a regulator, and quick coupler for easy operation. Kobalt claims 1.7 CFM at 90 PSI. And the Kobalt is made in China. And the Kobalt's the heaviest yet at just under 45 pounds. And the Kobalt claims to be 80% quieter, and it performed better than most of the other brands at 76.7 peak decibels. At a price of $185 is this Campbell Hausfeld brand. They claim 2.2 CFM at 90 PSI. 125 max PSI. They claim quiet operation at only 65 decibels. Oil-free pump for minimal maintenance. The marketing material for the compressor claims 2 horsepower, but the box that it comes in claims 1 horsepower. And the Campbell Hausfeld is made in China. And it's 41.23 pounds for the Campbell Hausfeld. And the Campbell Hausfeld has 2 manual couplers. The Campbell Hausfeld started off noisier than average and became quite a bit noisier as the tank pressure increased. And 81.6 decibels is louder than most of the other brands. At a price of $190 is this Fortess brand, which is sold at Harbor Freight. They claim it delivers 2.1 CFMs at 90 PSI. They also say it's ultra quiet at 60 decibels. It has a maximum pressure of 135 PSI. They claim it has a brushless 1.2 horsepower motor. The Fortess also has 2 different air hose connectors. And the Fortess has an automatic coupler. They claim it's ultra quiet at only 60 decibels. And the Fortess is made in China. And the Fortess is relatively light at 37.73 pounds. And the Harbor Freight Fortess started off lighter than most of the other brands at 81 decibels and reached a peak noise level of 82.2. At a price of $279 is this DeWalt brand. Most of the other compressors deliver somewhere between 100 and 135 PSI, but the DeWalt 200 PSI. And the compressor can be used in the vertical or horizontal position. DeWalt claims 3 CFM at 90 PSI. They claim a noise level of 71.5 decibels. The tank size is a little larger than the competition at 2.5 gallons. It has 2 different air hose connectors. Pretty nice setup for a cord wrap. And the DeWalt is made in China. And the DeWalt is even lighter than the Fortess at 36.51 pounds. And the DeWalt has automatic couplers. And the DeWalt started off in the upper 70s, but really didn't become too much louder with the peak noise level of 80.7 decibels. At a price of $302, the most expensive compressor we'll be testing is made by Makita. They claim the electric motor delivers 1 horsepower. It's supposed to be ultra quiet at only 60 decibels. Lightweight design at only 44 pounds. The Makita is supposed to deliver 2 CFM at 90 PSI. And the Makita has just 1 hose coupler. It has a complete roll cage design to protect the compressor. They claim it has a 1 horsepower motor. And the Makita is made in China. And the Makita is the heaviest yet at just about 45.5 pounds. The Makita has an automatic coupler. And the Makita quickly made it to 82 decibels and continued to become noisier. And the Makita is pretty loud at 87.9 decibels. I have to admit, I'm really impressed with how some of these air compressors keep the noise down. And the Limodot finished in first place at only 74.8 decibels. The Fornax finished in second place at 76, and Greteefor finished in third at 76.4 decibels. In the next test, I'll be using a digital Jayco tire pressure gauge. It recently won the tire pressure gauge showdown. In the next test, let's see how long it takes to reach 100 PSI and how long it takes for the compressors to reach full capacity. And the old pancake compressor really struggled, and it took 3 minutes and 16 seconds to reach 100 PSI. And the old pancake compressor is finally finished at 109 PSI in 3 minutes and 56 seconds. And the gauge on the right is keeping track of energy consumption, and the Vaver reached a peak energy demand of 935 watts. And the Vevor is at 100 PSI in 34.1 seconds. And the Vevor made it to 120 PSI in 47.8 seconds, or about 3 minutes faster than the old compressor. And the Greedor reached a peak energy demand of 860 watts, and it's also a little bit slower than the Vevor to reach 100 PSI in 36 seconds. However, the Greetfor made it to 119.9 PSI at about the same speed as the Vevor in 47.4 seconds. And the Eastwood has a 3-gallon capacity instead of a 2-gallon capacity. However, it is a lot slower than the Vevor and the Greetfor. At around 235 watts, the Eastwood just doesn't have a very powerful motor. And the Eastwood is finally finished at 99.7 PSI in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And the Fornax is using 820 watts, and it's the fastest to reach 100 PSI yet in only 32 seconds. And the Fornax is finished filling the tank at 117.8 PSI in 40.5 seconds. And the Craftsman is only using around 395 watts, which is less than half the energy usage compared to most of the other brands. And the Craftsman finally made it to 100 PSI in 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And the compressor just cycled off at 2 minutes and 50 seconds at 123.7 PSI. And the Husky is at 7.4 amps, which works out to 890 watts. And the Husky is the fastest to reach 100 psi yet in only 30.8 seconds. And the Husky makes the most tank pressure yet at 135.6 in just 50 seconds. And the Stealth has a 3/4 horsepower motor and it's using 6.15 amps or about 740 watts. Even though the Stealth has a smaller motor, it's just about as fast as a Husky at 32 seconds. And the Stealth just cycled off at 125.2 psi in just over 44 seconds. And the Limodot is using around 6.58 amps, which works out to around 790 watts. And the Limodot is a little bit slower than the Husky and the Stealth to reach 100 psi at 35.2 seconds. And the Limodot just cycled off at 120 psi in close to 46 seconds. And the Kobalt claims to have a 3/4 horsepower motor and it's using just over 6 amps or 720 watts. And the Kobalt is quite a bit slower than the last three brands at 41.4 seconds to reach 100 psi. And the Kobalt just cycled off at 122.8 psi in 59 seconds or about 15 seconds slower than the Stealth. And the Campbell Hausfeld is pretty thirsty at around 900 watts. And the Campbell Hausfeld minted 100 psi in 35.2 seconds, the same speed as the Limodot. And the Compressor cycled off at 129.3 psi in 53.5 seconds. And the Harbor Freight Fortress claims to make 1.2 horsepower and it's around 850 watts of energy consumption. And the Fortress is at 32.1 seconds to reach 100 psi. And the Fortress is finished at 136.6 psi in around 52.2 seconds. And the DeWalt is close to 1300 watts. The DeWalt has a 2.5 gallon tank compared to 2 gallons for most of the other brands. And the DeWalt is at 100 psi in just over 32 seconds. And the pressure regulator is limiting the pressure to around 138 psi. However, the tank is still building pressure. And the DeWalt's pressure gauge is showing around 200 psi in a minute and 23 seconds. And the Makita is using around 868 peak watts. And the Makita just took over 37 seconds to reach 100 psi. And the Compressor just cycled off in 57 seconds at 134 psi. A compressor that works fast will save time and money, and the Husky is the fastest to reach 100 psi in only 30.8 seconds. The Fornax, Stealth, Fortress, and DeWalt were just about as fast at around 32 seconds. In fairness to the DeWalt, it does have a larger tank and that does make a big difference as we'll see later in the review. If you need a compressor that offers a lot of pressure, the DeWalt achieved a peak tank pressure of 200 psi. However, the regulator does limit the pressure to 137.7. The Fortress finished in second place at 136.6 and Husky third at 135.6 psi. The cut-in pressure is the preset pressure level in which the air compressor automatically turns on to refill the tank. If you're using a pneumatic tool that requires a certain pressure, the cut-in pressure may be too low for the tool to work properly before the cut-in occurs. I'll gradually bleed off the pressure until the compressor cuts in. And the Vaver's cut-in pressure is 86.2 psi. And it took 14.45 seconds of runtime before the compressor cycled off. And the Greteefor's cut-in pressure is about the same as the Vevor's at 86.7 psi. And the Greteefor has a little faster cycle time at 12.65 seconds. And the Eastwood cycled on at 83.5 psi or about 3 psi lower than the Vevor and the Greteefor. And the Eastwood cycled off in a little over 35 seconds. And the Fornax cycled on at 83.5 psi, about the same as the Eastwood. And the Fornax has the fastest cycle time yet at 11.77 seconds. And the Craftsman's cut-in pressure is very close to 96.7 psi and it took 37.9 seconds to fill the tank. And the Husky cycled on at 104 psi and refilled the tank in just under 14 seconds. And the Stealth just cycled on at 96 psi. And 11.41 seconds is the fastest cycle time yet. And the Limodot kicked into action at 88.3 psi and it took 13.21 seconds to refill the tank. And the Kobalt cycled on at 90.1 psi. And the Kobalt took quite a bit longer than most of the other brands to refill the tank at 18 seconds. And the Campbell Hausfeld kicked on at 94.4 psi and took 17.34 seconds to fill the tank. And the cut-in pressure for the Harbor Freight Fortress is 102.6 psi. And the Fortress is finished filling the tank in 15.22 seconds. And the pressure gauge on the DeWalt air compressor is showing approximately 167 psi, while the pressure regulator is still showing around 136 psi. Definitely seems like a great compressor for those tools that require continuous higher pressures. And the DeWalt added 33 psi in just 18.3 seconds. And the Makita powered on at 99.6 psi, and it took the Makita 15.53 seconds to fill the tank. If you're needing a compressor that cycles on at high pressure, the DeWalt came in on top at 167 psi. The Husky finished in second place at 104 and the Fortress third at 101.7 psi. Manufacturers make many claims about cycle times. However, cycle time is greatly impacted by the cut-in and the cut-out pressures, and the Stealth has the fastest cycle time at 11.41 seconds. Fornax finished in second place at 11.77 seconds and the Greedor third at 12.65 seconds. Probably a much more meaningful perspective is the calculated CFM. To calculate this, I used the amount of time it took the compressors to increase pressure from 85 to 95 psi, and the DeWalt came out on top at 3.3 CFM. Husky finished in second place at 2.75 CFM and Fornax third at 2.7. All of the tanks are fully topped off with air. So let's attach an air hose and see which air compressor can fill an SUV tire to 40 psi the fastest. And the Vevor is pretty fast in just 1 minute and 10 seconds. And the Greteefor needs a little bit longer than the Vevor to fill the tire at 1 minute and 21 seconds. And the Eastwood has a 3-gallon tank, but the compressor is really slow. And the Eastwood really struggled in this test at almost 6 minutes, or about 5 times longer than the Vevor and the Greteefor. And the Fornax has been very fast throughout the showdown, and is very fast once again and moves into the lead at 62.7 seconds. And the Craftsman has a 2-gallon tank, but it's a very slow compressor. And the Craftsman is just as slow as the Eastwood at almost 6 minutes. And the Husky has been very fast throughout the showdown, and the Husky moves into the lead at 59.6 seconds. And the Stealth has trailed the Husky throughout the showdown so far. Unfortunately, the Stealth took quite a bit longer than the Husky once again at 1 minute and 23.5 seconds. And the Limodot is a little bit faster than the Stealth on this test at 1 minute and 16.2 seconds, or about 16 seconds slower than the Husky. And the Kobalt has a 3/4 horsepower motor and a maximum tank pressure of 122.8. And the Kobalt is pretty slow at just over 1 minute and 30 seconds. And the Campbell Hausfeld tank is close to 130 psi. And the Campbell Hausfeld is a little bit faster than average at 71.3 seconds. And the Harbor Freight Fortress air compressor has performed well throughout the showdown. And the Fortress performed well once again at 1 minute and 13 seconds. And the DeWalt tank started off at 200 psi, and it added air so quickly that the tire pressure gauge never dropped below 40 psi. The pressure did bottom out at 44 psi at 53 seconds, the fastest time yet. And the Makita holds around 134 psi, and that really helped. And it's just under 1 minute and 6 seconds for the Makita. So the DeWalt finished in first place at around 53 seconds. Husky finished in second place at 59.6 seconds and Fornax third at 62.7. In the next test, let's use a framing nailer to compare the performance of the air compressors. Let's see how many times a nail gun can be fired in 1 minute. Once the pressure drops below 80 psi, I'll have to wait until the pressure recovers to 80 before I fire the nailer again. And I was able to fire 7 times before the Vevor powered on. For safety reasons, I'm not using nails with the nailer. For a budget compressor, the Vevor performed well at 39 impacts from the nailer. Just like the Vevor, the nail gun fired 7 times before the Greteefor powered on. And the Greteefor didn't perform quite as well as the Vevor at 36 impacts. Even though the Eastwood has a 3-gallon tank, the compressor powered on after only 5 impacts from the nailer. And the Eastwood has a really slow recovery time, and it really struggled at only 13 impacts in 1 minute. And the Fornax powered through 8 impacts from the nailer before powering on. And the Fornax moves into the lead at 41 impacts from the nailer. And the Craftsman made it through 6 impacts before powering up. And the Craftsman really struggled to recover after each impact. And 19 impacts in 1 minute is less than half the speed as the less expensive Fornax. And the Husky delivers 7 blows from the nailer when the compressor kicked on. And the Husky barely edges out the Fornax at 42 impacts in 1 minute. The Stealth doesn't hold quite as much pressure as the Husky, and it powered on after 5 impacts. And the Stealth delivered 35 impacts. And the Limodot powered through 7 impacts before the compressor cycled on. And the Limodot performed a little bit better than the Stealth at 37 impacts. And the Kobalt made it to 8 impacts before the compressor powered on. However, the 3/4 horsepower Kobalt motor underperformed compared to some of the other brands at 35 impacts. And the Campbell Hausfeld holds around 130 psi, and that helped it have enough air for 8 blows before the compressor powered up. And the Campbell Hausfeld performed better than average at 40 impacts. And the Harbor Freight Fortress holds around 135 psi, and it delivered 7 blows before the compressor engaged. And the Fortress moves into a 2-way tie with the Husky at 42 impacts. And the DeWalt delivered 10 impacts before the compressor kicked on, while the tank still had well over 100 psi. And the 2.5-gallon capacity with the higher CFM motor really helps. And the DeWalt just delivered 64 impacts. Very impressive! And the Makita holds around 135 psi, and it delivered 7 impacts before the compressor cycled on. And the Makita moves into a 3-way tie with the Husky and the Fortress at 42 impacts. So the DeWalt ran circles around the competition with the first place finish at 64 impacts. The Husky, Fortress, and Makita tied for second place with 42 impacts from the nailer. I compared all the gauges on the compressors for accuracy, and they're all pretty close to perfect. So which air compressor is the best? The left side of the chart includes information about the type and number of air hose couplers. This information was not included in the graded areas of the score sheet. On the right side of the chart, I've converted raw scores into a first to last place ranking. And the DeWalt came out on top with the best average finish of 3rd place. It finished in the middle of the pack for both weight and noise. However, when it comes to raw performance, it ran circles around the competition. It is pretty expensive, but it would definitely be my choice if the budget allows. The Husky also performed very well with an average finish of 3.9. It only has 1 air hose coupler, but there is a port to add a second one. It does weigh around 6 pounds more than a DeWalt. However, the Husky is a lot less expensive and it performed very well in just about every category. The Fornax is definitely a great value buy. It has 2 automatic couplers and weighs less than the Husky and makes a lot less noise than the Husky as well. However, it doesn't offer as much peak tank pressure as the DeWalt and the Husky, but it did perform very well with an average finish of 5th place. If you're a frequent shopper at Harbor Freight, the Fortress also performed very well. However, the price does seem to be about $40 too high, and I would definitely wait for a sale. I'm still very surprised at the low noise level of these newer compressors, much better than the old style. All the videos in this channel, including this one, are viewer suggested, so if you have a video idea, I hope you'll take time to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching, please take care and look forward to next time.